Good evening and welcome back to my little nook. You may have seen a Facebook post that I recently shared on my Forest Poem Journey page, and that was about the Fourfold Grove and its connections to certain Celtic deities. Um, so I got to thinking, oh, well, not everybody works or connects with deity, which is cool. And the grove, by its very nature, is adaptable. So um, the system doesn't even require you to work with deity if you don't want to. This video is a follow-on because I thought, it's going to be much easier for me just to stick the camera on and talk about this rather than sit down for ages and start writing and editing another piece for the page. So here we go. The trees stand on their own, the stances stand on their own, and the ogham stands on its own with it. So this is like a non-deity version of the Facebook post that I put up. So we'll start with birch, which is the stance of emergence. The moment when something says to you, start here, even if you don't feel ready. Birch isn't about confidence, it's about sincerity and the willingness to begin again, even if it's been difficult. So yeah, even after loss, really. In the Owen, birch sits in the Acme with rowan and alder, willow, ash, and all of them colour the way beginnings actually work. Rowan bringing in protection and discernment to the first steps. The sense of that new growth has got to be shielded from what would overwhelm it. Alder adds the courage to cross those thresholds, to wade into the unknown, as it does into water on the riverbanks. Willow brings this emotional honesty. The soft flexibility of the willow is what you need when beginnings are really tender and easily bruised. And ash adds a real strong vertical thread, and that's the reminder that every beginning is connected to something much larger. So if you're in a birch moment, so to speak, you're not just starting, you're navigating that protection, the courage, the honesty, and the connection all at once. Birch is the anchor, but the hoekme shapes the stance. The emergence is rarely dramatic. It's usually something small and quiet, anchored to your persistence. Acknowledging that shift and a willingness to try. Okay. So we move to oak, and that's the stance of sovereignty, not in dominance or like authority over others, but just the ability to stand in your own centre with yourself. Sovereignty is the moment you stop reacting and start choosing. And it's the stance of someone who knows where they are, what they stand for, and what they will and will not carry. So in the Ogham, oak sits in its acme with hawthorn and holly, hazel and apple. So if we analyse all of those together within the stance of sovereignty, hawthorn brings the tension and beauty of thresholds. And that's the reminder that sovereignty, you have to hold that sovereignty at the edge of change when you're changing. If we link that back to the previous pillar of emergence, holly then brings the resilience that you need, the ability to withstand challenge without losing sight of your own centre. Hazel brings in the wisdom, the well of insight that informs right reaction. And apple brings harmony and nourishment, and like the abundance, if you like, the reward. So, and it's the reminder that sovereignty isn't just about defence, but creating conditions where life can flourish. So in oak moments, you're not forcing anything, you're not pushing, you're simply standing in what's true for you with no apology and with no aggression. And it's that little bit of clarity that says, this is mine to hold and this is not. And oak is the anchor, but the whole acre with those others, the hawthorn, the holly, the hazel, and the apple, give it a lot more depth. So then we'll move through to blackthorn. Blackthorn is the stance of necessary truth. Just a moment that something can't be avoided anymore. And I can't stress enough that it's not about punishment. It's just about clarity. And it's the point you get to when the truth is absolutely unavoidable and the only way forward is through it. And you're going to push through that spiky hedge. So in the Ogham, you've got blackthorn sitting with bramble and ivy and broom and elder. So with that bramble, you've got the entanglement of the consequence, the way choices can weave around us, and those brambly bits will snag you if you're not paying attention. Broom brings in the cleansing, the hard work of clearing things which don't really serve us or belong to us anymore. Ivy brings with it persistence, keep on going, the truth that winds around the hidden places, reveals perhaps what has been avoided. And elder brings the endings and the transformations, the reminder that decay is part of the cycle and letting go is sometimes the most honest thing you can do. So in blackthorn moments, you're not being attacked, you're being clarified, really. Something in your life is saying, face this now, don't look away. Blackthorn is the anchor, but the whole Akema shapes the truth, persistent, cleansing, entangling, unafraid of those endings. Face it. The yew. Oh, I do like yew trees. Yew is the stance of deep roots. That long view, the ancestral view, the understanding that your life is part of a larger story. And this stance isn't about being stuck in the past. It's about recognizing continuity, the threads that run through your life and the lives before yours in that great cycle. In the Ogham, yew sits in its Akema with pine and gorse, heather and poplar. Pine represents the endurance and clarity. That's the ability to stay standing through long winters or harsh periods in our life. Gorse is that brightness, fierce, and the survival, the stubborn spark that persists even in the harshest of conditions. Heather brings with it, to balance that, really subtle resilience in the quiet ecosystems that form in overlooked places. And moving on, poplar, we're looking at responsiveness, and then the way those unseen currents, they sort of speak of what moves in the air around it, bringing a sort of attention to things that maybe you can't see. So you moments, when you're there, you're not withdrawing, you're just listening, you're noticing deeper patterns and what you can see at face value. You're recognizing what's been shaped within you and what you want to shape next. And the yew tree is the anchor within the Akema. The rest of it, you've got enduring, bright, subtle, responsive. And that's what gives it its depth. So the fourfold grove, it's not a belief system. It's just a way of noticing yourself, a way of understanding the stance you're moving from and the stance you might need next. Birch is asking you what wants to begin, and then oak asks, what do I stand for? Really important. Blackthorn is asking you what truth you must face, and then the yew is asking, what is rooting me and what endures, what sticks. And it's not stages, it's more than that. They're movements. You'll cycle through them again and again and again. And sometimes you might move through all of those movements in a single day. It happens. And the grove isn't here to tell you who to be. It's here really to help you recognize where you are. And if you can recognize your stance you can choose your next step. So thanks for walking through the grove with me again. Really pleased to be able to put this video up. It's a great way of just explaining that Facebook post where I anchored Deity to the pillars in a way that doesn't necessarily need Deity if you don't want to. So, and that's what this was all about. It's just a bit of balance. And like I said, I do understand that people sometimes don't want to work with Deity or have no call to, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, like I say, thanks once again for putting up with me and listening to me. Give me a follow on Instagram. It's Where Crows Gather. Or you can find me on Facebook. The group is the Forest OM Journey. Have a search for that and join. Feel free if you want to. And also my creative page, which is called Echoes of the Staves. Anyway, have a great evening. See you soon.